Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of the 20 question wine challenge, the wine trivia question, where I looked up 20 questions online and I'm just randomly going to answer them. I answered the first 10 in the last video, and now we're going to pick up with question number 11. So, here we go. Alright, so what year was Ferrante's winery established? Well, I work there, so it's easy for me. 1937. And I can tell you he's a third generation winemaker. I'm not even going to go look at the answers because I already know that one. Alright, who won the State Director's Choice Award this year, 2019, for Best Red Wine in Ohio, and what was it?
I actually just saw this, and can't remember if it was Giant Eagle or if I saw it on Facebook. I can't remember now.
I saw it on Facebook.
It's a good question.
I know who it is. First, I'll give away who it is. It was M. Sellers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember seeing the little badge in the. I can't remember who posted that. Must have been M. Sellers.
Have an idea for what wine it was?
I believe it was the Meritage.
It was the Meritage. M. Sellers Meritage. It won the State Director's Choice Award for Best Red Wine in Ohio. It was in 2017. Congrats to you guys. Cheers. And that one, I believe, is this guy. Oh yeah. A fantastic wine, and as you can tell, I drank it. Yep, it was phenomenal. Can't go wrong if you get an M. Sellers wine. Let's see. There we go. Yep. One of my favorite wineries. I have a lot of favorite wineries. Anyways. Okay, so next. What does it take to officially call your wine a Meritage? Well, I know that you have to actually pay into the Meritage Alliance, which is based out of California. And you have to have at least 2 to 3 of the Bordeaux style wines. And none of those, not one single variety, can make up more than 90% of the wine. So let's see, what was that? Number 13. Answer is winemakers must pay and license the trademark label from the California-based Meritage Alliance. It must be made from at least 2 of the following varieties: Cab Sauv, Merlot, Cab Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot, Saint Macaire, Gros Verdot, or Carmenere, with no variety comprising more than 90% of the blend. Yep, pretty much what I said. There was some varieties in there I've not seen, but yeah. So, question 14. What does the term vintage refer to on a bottle of wine? I'm waiting for the commentary about saying it's so old like a record.
Well, I know if it's vintage, it just means it's original. Got some vintage shirts at home, I've got some vintage records.
Original, right. By the way, I'm pairing this awesome Italian wine with some fantastic steak. And steak paired with wine is phenomenal. Especially when it's vintage. It is a little bit older. what vintage refers to is the year that the grapes were harvested. So for the wine that I'm drinking, we're looking at, let's see, 2014. See? And that would be the year the grapes were picked and pressed. Don't need to look up the answers. I know that was true. Alright. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Question 15. What does the term estate refer to on a bottle of wine? Commentary from the kitty cat. This is Teeny, 11-year-old gray cat, and she says cat food and steak. I don't think her answer had anything to do with the question, though.
Isn't the estate, isn't that just where it's grown? Like, we live in the estate of Ohio?
We live in the estate of Ohio, yeah. Or you could live in a state of confusion. Okay, so I believe estate refers to, if you want to call your wine an estate wine, that means that all the grapes were grown on your property, on your estate. So, yeah, an estate wine, you wouldn't be able to get grapes from somebody else's vineyard or out of state or anything like that, then it wouldn't be estate wine. But if you grew all the grapes, it's estate wine. Had to throw in the air quotes. Okay, number 16. What country produces the most wine? Commentary from the audience.
Doesn't that depend on how sad the people are?
So,
if they've got a lot to whine about.
I'm gonna throw out 4 countries at first and narrow them down. I know the United States makes a lot of wine because we're so big, and we've got the wine growing region stretching clear across our country, starting in New York and ending in California. We got wine coming out of New York, wine coming out of California, and then wine coming out of Oregon, wine coming out of Michigan. There's wine coming out of Arizona, Colorado. There's wine coming out of Ohio, Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania. I mean, that whole strip, it's a big strip. We're pretty long country that way, and so you know we're making a lot of wine. Ohio's doing fantastic lately. California's doing fantastic. New York is really doing fantastic. Oregon is really doing fantastic. So the United States in general is making some really kick-ass wine. I'm loving it. But I don't think we make the most. Surprisingly, we might have the most wine drinkers. Wine sales might be the highest here, maybe. But as far as who produces the most wine, I'm going to rule out the United States. Spain, Italy, and France would be my next 3 guesses. Spain, I know, makes a lot of wine. I thought I saw they have the most vineyard space in the world. But I don't think they make the most wine. So that narrows us down to France and Italy, 2 of the biggest or most famous wine producing areas in the world. And that's not taking anything away from Austria and Germany and Argentina and Australia. There's a lot of places making fantastic wine. Chile. But I think it comes down to between France and Italy for who makes the most. I think France probably makes hard to say if France makes better wine than Italy. I was gonna say France makes better wine than Italy until I opened up this bottle of Monte Antico Toscana. Oh my God. I just have to say this stuff is phenomenal. Italy can make some really good wine. And it just so happens that I work for an Italian winemaker. They celebrate their Italian heritage with their Vino della Casa and Round Barrel Red and his cask and all those other reds. It's very good. But there we go again. Who makes the most? France or Italy? Comment down below before I answer this. Who do you think makes the most?
Surprise! It's Rhode Island.
The country of Rhode Island? Okay. Alright. Between France or Italy? I'm going to support the place I work and just go with Italy. What was that? Question number 16. Let's see.
Good question. They were asking about rice wine. It was actually China.
Italy produces 4.8 million tons of wine annually. My God. That's a lot of wine. I will need a lot of totes to fit all that. Okay, if you can send me some totes, I'm gonna need them. 4.8 million tons. Oh my goodness. I mean, of course I need all that. Obviously. Question number 17. Name the top 3 native Ohio grape varieties. Commentary from the audience.
Top 3 native grapes. Would that be Cherokee and Iroquois? Oh wait, no, sorry. Catawba, Concord. No, I don't know the third one.
Okay.
But I know those two have got to be in it.
Catawba had to have been one of the first ones ever, and Concord was probably right there with it. And I'm going to say Niagara.
Yeah, I would have guessed Niagara, but I'm not sure.
There's also Isabella and Delaware and Regent. They seem to grow nicely around here. I'm not sure if Regent is actually native. I can't remember. No, I think that one's grafted. Isabella and Delaware. Those are Lambruscas that grow well here.
Yeah, my money's on Niagara too.
Yeah, Niagara, Catawba, and Concord. That's what I'm gonna say. And we are...
Guys, it's Pinot Noir.
Correct.
Riesling and...
Correct. Pinot Noir, Riesling, and Cab Franc. No. Not at all. Concord, Catawba, and Niagara. Absolutely, we were right. Alright, we're down to the last 3 questions. Number 18. What wine style flourishes in Ohio, is the sweetest type of wine, and is usually harvested between November and January?
I'd say the sweetest wine is drunk wine.
The sweetest wine is the wine that you just opened. If it's already drunken, it's not so sweet because, you know, it's gone. No, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this one. That's ice wine. I know that. It is an awesome wine that was created only in the correct climate. Ohio can do it. Michigan can do it. PA can kind of do it. New York can kind of do it. Canada. Now they can make some ice wine. For sure. And it has to be picked frozen. You can't pick them during your normal harvest time. You gotta wait until it gets down to like 17 degrees, and preferably you want it to be 17 degrees like for 3 days. And yeah, typically around here that happens somewhere between November and January. much later than January, the grapes aren't doing so well anymore. They all usually fall off or eaten by birds or whatever. So yeah, November and January is about your time frame for ice wine.
Does Germany do an ice wine?
Germany can do ice wine.
I was wondering.
Yep, they're in that belt as well. Actually, they do a handful of awesome ice wines that we can't do here. Like, I've seen on the internet some Riesling ice wine and Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon ice wines.
Sounds amazing.
I think I've seen some other oddball ice wines that I know I've seen Gewürztraminer ice wine. Yeah, but not here in Ohio, not yet. Well, I have seen Cab Franc ice wine from Ohio. It's a little pricey. Not as common as Vidal Blanc ice wine. That's usually what we get here. Concord makes a fantastic ice wine. I wanted to make a Niagara ice wine last year, but I didn't quite get to because we didn't get the day. We didn't get the 17-degree day until it was way too late and all the grapes dropped. But, yep, that's the answer to that question. Ice wine.
Second only to late harvest wine.
Mm-hmm. And then third to ports. How many grapevines in the world are grafted? 42. Well,
all the ones that aren't growing straight out of the ground, of course.
Yeah. That one, yeah. I don't know. Probably a lot.
Considering there's over 1,800 types of grapes, it's gonna be a decent number.
How many grapevines in the world are grafted?
Oh, now that question, they're asking you how many vines. I mean, just at Ferrante's alone. They didn't ask for how many varieties. They want to know how many individual vines are grafted. Let's see, we planted 300 over at Kathy's, and then there's another. I hope you're keeping track at home. I mean, this is going to take a while. Alright, so over in France, you got...
Go ahead and drop a comment if you think you know how many grapevines in the world are grafted. I don't know specifically the number of grapevines, but the answer here is 85%. So I guess we can go with that. 85% of all grapevines in the world are grafted. So here in America, European grapevines do not grow.
Now, how does one graft 85% of a grapevine?
Only 85% of the plant gets grafted. They leave off that extra 15%. That's actually the rootstock.
Oh, that makes sense. You got me there. Learn something new every day.
Disregard all of that. No, yes. Grapevines from Europe cannot be just planted here in America as is. They don't grow like that. So you have to graft them onto American grapevines. You take an American rootstock and graft on a European grapevine on top of it, and then, sure enough, you can grow Riesling and Cab Franc and Cab Sauv and Merlot, as long as the climate allows it, in American soil.
And that is how you make America great again.
Grapes. Number 20, the last question. How long did it take to grow out this beard? That's not the last question. How long does it take before a new grapevine would produce grapes suitable for winemaking? According to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Answers from the audience?
Can I hear the question again?
He wants to hear the question again. How long does it take before a new grapevine would produce grapes suitable for winemaking?
Well, I suppose that depends on how long it's taken the grapevine to learn winemaking.
Yep. So my answer would be somewhere between, I want to say 3 or 4 years. You should have grapes ready for winemaking. The second year, you're probably going to pop out some grapes maybe, but they might not be that good. Maybe some of them, maybe a couple of them, like if you plant, let's say, 1 row of grapes, a quarter of that row might make some grapes that taste pretty good after that second year. But third year, most of them will be making grapes, and I think you could probably make wine from most of them. Year number 4, I think that's when you're really going to be making some good wine. That's when you can expect to make a good product. And then from that point on, it's just going to get better. And yeah, I'd say 3 to 4 years. Let's scroll down, 3 to 5 years. So there you have it. The vines will create their first grapes within the first couple years. The first ones you see, the first ones that the vines ever produce, will probably be kind of tart, kind of sour. They're not going to be the sweetest because they're too young. But then another year, they're going to make nice, sweet grapes. The sweeter the grapes, the better the wine. And that's what it's all about, making the best wine possible. And that should do it. That's 20 questions about wine trivia. Leave a comment down below if you had any problems answering those questions, if you got them, if you nailed them all, if you did better than I did. There was a couple questions I had trouble with. Let me know if you're any better at this than I am. Drop a like, hit the subscribe button, comment down below anything you want to comment down below, anything you want to comment down below. And hit that little bell button next to the subscribe button. That way whenever I pop up new videos, you'll get notified of it. Until next video, I'm the Red Bearded Wine Snob. Enjoy the wines and enjoy the vines. I'll see you next time. Cheers.